Beat Making Basics.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your man Ever J Music, owner of Beat Making Basics. We're back again with another dope video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, and comment on the video. Now, today's video, we're finishing up a 3-part series where we're making beats in 10 minutes or less. This is an emotional type beat. In this particular video, we're going to be working on the mix. Okay, if you're new, basically how we do it, like I said, it's 3 videos. The first video is 10 minutes working on the beat, like building it. Second video is working on arranging it into a song. That's 10 minutes. And then we're going to work on, in this video, which is the third installment, mixing it. Okay, so let's just kind of get a good overall listen. I'm going to put it right at the main part of the hook, and you can kind of get a vibe. And then I'm going to show you some basic mixing. Now, I did kind of cheat because I did, like, when I was making the beat, bring some of these levels down, so forgive me on that, but there's still a lot that we can do. That's the basic vibe of what we got going on. Some people, you know, would say that you shouldn't do this. Some people would say that you should do this like after you mix everything and you know, after you actually bounce down your track into a wave file or AIFF. I just think that putting an additive limiter on the master stereo out, it really helps everything from clipping, and it also brings down the level. So that's what I usually do before I start mixing any beat. Just throw that on here. Keep in mind, a lot of the times, you know, there's no rules to when it comes to this. It's like what's going to make it sound the best. So anyway, once that's done, I immediately just make sure that the levels are pretty much on point. From there, I EQ it and pan it. And then from there, I just add a couple of different things, a couple of plugins and things just to kind of boost certain signals in certain tracks, you know, compressors and different things like that is what I'm using. So let's go ahead and get the basic levels here. Okay. Main thing I want to make sure, and this is kind of a backwards approach to doing this, is just, you know, I don't necessarily turn everything down and then bring everything up. I don't do that. I just want to make sure that the kick is hitting harder and the snare is hitting harder, is not lost in the mix along with all of the other instruments. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And it's already hitting right. So what I'm going to do next is, instead of EQing next, I'm going to go ahead and work on panning. Let's just kind of throw some stuff to the left or the right here. All right, so got some basics done on panning. Next thing I'm gonna do is actually work on the EQ. And so what I do with when it comes to EQing is I do subtractive EQing. And this is where I'm taking out like frequencies on the track that would conflict with other frequencies. So for instance, like these percussion instruments, or, you know, snare, hi-hat, stuff like that, I'm gonna take out a lot of the lows so it's not competing with the lows and the bass, the kick, and the sample. So let me do that first. This one has already been done. And what that does is just create space in the mix here. It's the hi-hat, the shaker. Okay, and snare. And you can hear what I do here is I take out like too much first, and then just scale it back some to where you can still hear the body of everything, but it's still taking out some of the lows. Now we're gonna move over here to the choir and everything. We'll take out some of the lows on that. Okay, and then this is like the higher pitch sample, so I take out a lot of the lows on that. And on the main sample, even though it's a main sample, I still take out some of the lows on that just so that that bass can kind of kick through and that kick drum can kick through. Alright, cool. So we have everything pretty much, for the most part, EQ'd. I'm not going to do a whole lot on the bass or whatever, or any of these other instrument sounds like my tag. I'm going to leave that alone. The rev, I'm going to leave that alone. And the bass, I'm going to leave that alone. Next thing I'm going to do now is just basically make certain instruments, poke out a little bit more in the mix. And so let's go to the kick drum. Usually it sounds fine, but I'm still going to throw this on here. It's called Smack Attack. And what Smack Attack is going to do is a plugin by Waves. It will basically deals with the transients of each instrument or the sound, and it somehow manipulates it to where it, basically adds a little punch to the instrument. So I come over here to drums. I use the presets, and I'm going to start with this Kick to the Sun. Let's see how that sounds. And as you can see, it sounded cool before, but if you put this on there, it kicks through a little harder. And then we're going to also do that on the snare too. So I'm going to come down here, Waves, Smack Attack. We'll go to low, drums, and this time I'm going to go to snare. So we'll go to gated. We'll see how that sounds first. Now listen to it before. Sounds good, but like it just adds a little bit of a punch to it. Another thing I like to do on this little Vox here is I go ahead and bust the signal to an auxiliary track. And I just went over here to my sends, or sent the signal to an auxiliary track. I go to my sends and I create another auxiliary track. And you saw how I did that. Just came over here, bust, went to an open track and created it. I'm going to say reverb. And I use this Valhalla room here. And what I do is I turn up the high cut, turn up the dead up a little bit, and turn up the K a little bit. And what that does is it gives the vibe that this particular sound is off in the distance somewhere. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I turn it up. See how it's kind of just dry back in the back? So we turn that on and it gives it a little bit more character. All right, last thing I want to do, I just feel like this bass could be better. And so what I'll do here, I'm going to do something called R Bass. It's a plugin from Waves. Put that on there. You hear that kind of just pump in there a little better. And And you can also go over here. There's lots of presets you can choose from. All right, and I can come over here and I can also do you know, maybe add a little bass. Let me see, what is that thing called? Distortion to that bass as well. And I didn't add a whole lot, just enough to kind of make it jump up a little bit. And this is pretty much the mix, man. Let's check this out. And really what we could do is just to get at some more character as well, this sample right here, I'm actually going to create another auxiliary track and Valhalla room that. Let's give it a little more. Yeah. So overall, I feel like the mix is pretty solid. You know, 10 minutes aroundish that to do a pretty solid mix. Obviously, we're going to want to A/B these on some different speakers, you know, different things like that to really make this solid. But for the most part, those are the basis of what I do to my beats to mix it in 10 minutes or less. So appreciate y'all watching, man. Leave me your feedback if you have it. And if you don't do anything else, make sure you subscribe to my channel. We're coming back to back with videos all year long. Appreciate y'all. Let's get it. And I'm open to any suggestions that you may have. Also, if you are an artist, please feel free to reach out to me. I am a producer. Yes, I do work with artists. Yes, I do sell beats. Yes, I do all of that type of stuff. So let me know. And I'll holler at y'all. Also to the producers, man, I got producer training 101s that you can do. Go to my site, everjmusic.com. You can check that out as well. Zoom meetings. I do Zoom meetings with artists as well, man. Just let me know. I'm here for y'all. Peace.